projects here. And for the people that are presenting today, we have 3 different groups. We have Pendleton, Town of Pendleton, Wheatfield Veterans Organization, and the City of North Tonawanda. There is, the ability of this committee to fund all, none, or some of these projects that are presented to us today, and none of it is guaranteed until we do, in fact, have our legislature meeting, which we will vote on what the recommendations that come out of this meeting are. So, just to be clear to everyone here that they are, we've worked with a lot of you so far to get some of the bugs out of your plans. And I know it's been challenging, and I know it's not your normal course of business, a lot of you. So I do appreciate you working with us, and the rules are such to keep us out of trouble and keep you out of trouble. So just bear with us, and we have the opportunity to touch base with Mr. Burgasser. He's the expert at putting these sort of fine points on these presentations that sometimes come in a little rough, but they leave here and they're good, and they're solid plans, and they are in conjunction with what the Greenway is envisioned to be. Right now, we have a couple of different things that have come up. North Tonawanda and Pendleton both have passed through the other Greenway committee, which basically says if you are compliant with their vision of what the Greenway was intended to be, that's a necessary step. So 2 of our groups have had that step. Then what we do on our side is we agree with that step, and we move on. We associate money with that. We give a portion of the money to those projects, and the money that is allotted to Niagara County is under the 50-year agreement with the New York State Power Authority. $390,000 is given to Niagara County to distribute to groups such as yourselves each year, and each year for 50 years, those monies will come in, and we're into it 10 years or so, Tom?
Approximately, yes. 2025 we renegotiate.
Okay, well, how about that? We'll hopefully get a few more dollars for us, but here we are, and we've got $390,000 coming in on July the 1st, and so any thing we award today would be contingent on us receiving that money, and certainly we don't want to put the county in a bind by promising money that has yet to come in, but usually we do it pretty close to that date, and here we are in June, so there's no indication that money won't show up. But with COVID-19 and everything, we are always a little concerned. Who knows what kind of tricks they'd play in Albany. But I wanted to have the groups present, and I would like to start off with the Wheatfield veterans, and if they could introduce themselves and just briefly go over your project and what you'd like from the county.
Okay, my name is Tom Contact, and I am the lead person for this group. We have 9 volunteers in all in the group, some of which, like Art Gerbeck, may be on the line here. I'm not sure if he is or isn't, as well as Jeff Casper. And what we have done here in the town of Wheatfield is there were things given to the town many years ago, and I'll start with the thing that was the worst is really the Huey helicopter. The Huey helicopter is really tied to the town of Wheatfield in that it was totally engineered and for the most part built, not this particular one, but built here in the town of Wheatfield. So we have not only history with this, but it all goes back a long ways. It goes back to the 40s. And we're trying to preserve not only that memory, but the memory of all veterans who either served on this type of machine and or served after on subsequent helicopters, and everybody really who served prior to that. I have mentioned before in several conversations, our lineage of veterans goes all the way back to 1775. This is not something new, and new veterans are being made every single day. And the debt that we owe to veterans can never be repaid. So they cannot be forgotten about. And this project is about just that. It's about not forgetting about those veterans. So what we have done is in the springtime of 2019, the town decided to not only help the veterans, but decided to get on board with financial assistance and provide the space, which is now in the front of the town hall. Used to be the back, but now it's the front. There's a large lot there where this memorial will go. This memorial will honor all branches of service. It will also elevate the fact that we are a Purple Heart community since last year. That will be part of what we're doing there too. We also have parking at the town hall now for Purple Heart recipients. So we don't want to forget anybody. That's the basic plan. And going forward, we will be bringing over all three elements which have been charged to the town, which is the helicopter, which is complete and in storage right now. It'll be back to the town any day now. The monument, the granite monument, which is out in front, which does need some cleaning and prep work before it gets here, that will be finished. And there is an M60 tank that stands in front of the garage, not at the town hall, but at the highway department, which is on Ward Road. That will be brought over after concrete is done, probably late this year. So that is our intention. We are also, we are involving our community in that so many celebratory days are not utilized by the community. In other words, in my mind, it doesn't bring the community together. One of those days, which I was really shocked last year when I went to one of the shows in the area. I was approached. I was wearing my DVA Chapter 77 shirt, and she approached me. She is a Gold Star mother, and she talked to me for probably 20 minutes talking about the fact that the Gold Star mothers get really very little of anything in this county. Their recognition is close to zero. Not saying zero, but close to it. And at that time, I promised her, I said, you know, that when our memorial is done, you will be part of that memorial. September 27th is Gold Star Mother's Day, and our intention is to do something for the mothers in the area. But not only the mothers, they will bring their families with them, of course, and they'll bring grandchildren and everybody in the family. To remember, I can't imagine what it is like to be a mother and lose a son or lose a daughter. It's permanent. It's not for a couple of days or a couple of months or a couple of years. It's forever. It's over. In addition to that, as you go through the year, things that we are considering for remembrances, March 29th is National Vietnam Veterans Day. May 8th is Military Spouse Appreciation Day. Again, low priority holidays, but important. May 25th is Memorial Day. There are other ones. September 11th, Patriots Day. The 27th, as I said, September is Gold Star Mother's Day. December 10th is Wreaths Across America, which we will have a wreath at our monument. I participated in distributing those wreaths this year. We're going to bring that here to Wheatfield, too. That's important. As well, December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. I have talked personally to a number of groups, including people that are involved in the list I just put down there, but including Boy Scouts. I was surprised to hear that during my time as a Boy Scout, we had flag raising days and some other salutes to the flag and to the country that they're not being done anymore. The flag raising day is something the Scoutmaster remembered from his youth, but has not done with one of the local troops here. We want those boys here. We want them to participate in the raising of the flag at dawn. These are important learning things for their future. So with that, the project moves on. However, we cannot move on our own. We have tried very hard to raise funds here in the community. We started off well, and then with the virus coming around, it shut the community down. I can't go talk to anybody face to face. I can't wait till this opens up, because I firmly believe when I talk to people and I am able to look at them, they understand my passion for this project as well as the others. And I think they are more open to making contributions. As we go into phase 3, I will be going out in the field again, trying to raise more money. But the money coming from your group, Mr. Andres, is really vastly the most important, without a doubt. So with that, I had only a couple other thoughts. And I know that, for instance, the Greenway is particularly tied in thought and premise to the Frederick Law Olmsted process. And in reading a little bit about that, I found two items that Olmsted talked about that were, in essence, very, very important to him. And I'll just read very briefly a couple of words here on that. His first thought was, he sought to advance a sense of shared community and dedicated service. The second thought he had is he wanted to strengthen society by providing places where all people could gather and contemplate. Those two items, as you digest them, are exactly what our project is about. This is a place for contemplation. This is a place for children and young people to be educated, to learn, to understand what has gone on in the past and what will go on in the future. It goes back to the old saying, and everybody has heard it, but maybe we don't really get into it. The idea of freedom is not free. The costs are huge. The people who do not come back from various conflicts, and also those people who come back and bear the scars of those conflicts for years and years and years. We cannot, gentlemen and ladies, we cannot forget them. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Contact Cobb. Tom, you were sort of pointing out what we would need to do should we want to go on this, down this path of supporting this this group. What do they need to have buttoned up?
Okay, first of all, I think I think it's Connie. Wheatfield, with their proposal, is about the closest of any other proposals to be ready to be submitted before the legislature if you approve it for the recommendation. They answered almost all of the questions in the letter, and I'll try and make it brief. Connie, you're on the line, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. One thing that we didn't get would be the estimates or contracts for the different types of work that you spelled out very detailed in your budget. And the reason we need some of this is so that when we do an audit by the county, that we know what the money is being spent for. You gave us drawings and pictures and maps of the location. That's 2B of the letter that was sent to you. But the estimates and the contracts we don't have. If you can get those to us, they can be actually attached to your existing application, because the application is I feel very complete.
Okay, great, thank you.
And the
Now,
second,
would an engineer's estimate be acceptable? Because, I mean, Tom put these together and we kind of, you know, massaged it
the
because,
estimates from companies,
I'm sorry?
estimates from companies who might do the work.
Okay, all right.
In other words, it can't be just estimates that you pull out of the air.
No, I understand that. I just wasn't sure if we could have the town engineer certify that the
Sure.
costs are
He
accurate.
can contact other, different companies and indicate
Okay.
that he's done that and make a presentation as part of that. I think, Legislator Anders, I don't mean to, but I think that that would be sufficient if the committee's okay with that.
Yeah, somebody in the professional, business of doing this type of thing would be, I think that checks that box.
Okay,
And the only other item, Connie, is that, and the Greenway Commission is probably going to do the same thing because now they've been including it because the county includes signage in all of their programs.
right,
And you have $1,900 in the budget.
okay,
The head sign that needs to go up at the memorial, giving credit to the county, Niagara Power Authority. It's also a Greenway Commission styled sign that's the templates are at the Niagara County Public Works and you can contact them. But it's $6,800 to start. And usually, as is with the amount of money that you need, the committee usually awards around, not that they stick to this, but then Legislator Anders can correct me on this, but it's about 50%. And you're a little over that in the request of 100 instead of like 72. But you need also to get with the town of Wheatfield so that they're going to be able to put signs up on town roads or at least get together with the county so that road signs can be put up that are in the template of the Greenway Commission. That's something that you need to have in the budget, but we need to get together with many of the other projects that have been put together already. We don't have many signs up and we need to start working on that, but we need to have it in the budget.
okay.
And, so maybe you should work with the cost in that with the Niagara County Public Works Department.
So the Niagara County Legislature receives their own sign. I'm familiar with the one from the Greenway. I was actually down at the Naval.
We don't get our own sign, but on the head
with
sign,
it. Okay.
we need to make sure, pursuant to the protocols and the purposes of the Niagara Power Agreement, that the Power Authority gets credit. They're the ones who are providing these funds for us to disperse. And
Right.
I think the Niagara County Legislature would like some credit also for providing you with those funds.
Right.
And
Okay.
they can go on the signs that have been approved, and the templates are there for the Niagara River Greenway Commission use. Niagara River
Okay.
Greenway Commission has no money.
Okay.
That comes from the county. The county's share the money. Okay.
Okay. And I can't speak for the board officially, but I know that we talked about putting signs at Niagara Falls Boulevard. I think I put it in the narrative, and that's actually a state road, but that they are fully on board with as much signage directing the public to the memorial. So, I think,
Yeah, not just to the memorial, you'll also direct them to other Greenway projects.
Right. Okay.
So, but you'll get that when you use the template and get to the template.
Okay.
But anyways, those are the only two items that I have, Chairman Anders.
Very good, thank you. Now from the committee, do we have any from the legislators that are on the line to discuss or to answer? Any legislators have any questions? Okay, go ahead.
No, I have not.
Okay, so hearing no questions, we thank you for your presentation. We will be in contact with you. Let us know what we come up with over here, but you're under no further obligation to stay on the line, and we can, or you can. Certainly, it's an open meeting, but if you'd like to hang up, you're more than able to hang up. So
there is
move
one
on.
thing before everybody leaves.
Yep.
I would like to, just in front of everybody, thank Connie Miner for this work that she has done on our behalf of the Veterans Group. It is outstanding, and it's something that I could never have done on my own.
Oh, thank you.
Great job.
I'm on loan from the town of Wheatfield, so please make sure that, the accolades really go back to the town board for, allowing me to do this. So thank you.
And so they shall, yes.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And
everyone.
thank
I
you to the
appreciate it.
legislature.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for
Hopefully
taking the
next time
time
we'll see
tonight,
each
Jim.
other in person. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now that we have that, we're going to go up the road here. We're going to North Tonawanda and the Charles Fleischman Park, and we're going to go ahead and discuss a couple things with this Fleischman Park. But I wanted to point out that the project already has compliance from the Greenway Commission itself, and you know it's part of a much larger other project. And if you've been to what is downtown North Tonawanda anytime recently, it is just under full construction. Every which way you look, it's going, and this is sort of the capstone of that project. And Mike Zimmerman, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Legislator Andres, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for the time. I'll try to keep it pretty brief. But as the legislator just mentioned, the project that we're talking about here, Charles Fleischman Park, really is kind of the centerpiece of a much larger downtown, we're calling it the Downtown Placemaking Project, redevelopment and construction project in the downtown area, North Tonawanda, on Webster and Main Streets, all kind of ending at Charles Fleischman Park. If you're familiar with it, and there's a map, I think, provided in the packet, Charles Fleischman Park is the existing very small triangle-shaped little park that is created where Webster and Main Street come together at an angle at the north end of our downtown. And through this placemaking project, as you can see on some of the graphics, we're working in conjunction with Empire State Development to try to make our downtown a much more accessible, walkable, safe community for particularly pedestrians. Obviously, it's an entertainment and retail district, and we want to try to make it as attractive as a kind of walkable downtown as we can. And one major way to do that, in addition to improvements on Webster and Main Streets, improvements at a number of the intersections, is by really just blowing up, redesigning, and enlarging Charles Fleischman Park quite a bit, more than doubling in size of that still triangle-shaped piece of property. It'll, when completed, and like we mentioned, it's already construction's already well underway down there. It's difficult to get around down there now, but once it's done, should be much easier for the pedestrian and the vehicle to travel down there. Traffic flow is going to be slower and much safer. Pedestrian crossings are going to be clearly marked, shorter, safer, as well as a lot of landscaping and kind of amenities that improve that pedestrian experience. Unfortunately, in the design and bid process for the project, everything that we wanted to include, including a kind of capstone piece for Charles Fleischman Park, which included a signature element, a clock tower element that would be right in the center of the park and really be a signature piece. We worked with students from North Tonawanda High School to help us come up with concept designs for that. But we could not fit all of that into the budget that we had to work with to get started this spring. So that's where we're looking to request up to $200,000 from Niagara County Legislature through this process to complete the vision that we had outlined from the beginning, really complete the project in total and not have kind of a missing hole in the middle of a otherwise great improvement project in our downtown. Before I relinquish the microphone, I guess, and turn it over to questions and comments, I did want to address a couple of the items that were brought up before having gone through the consistency review process with the Greenway Commission. The first one, and this one, I apologize because it's an oversight on my end. I've been through this enough times to have known better, is the need for the signage included in the budget. Not sure how I missed including that in this iteration that you have, so that will be adjusted in the budget accordingly. And the second one is discussion about pedestrian and cycle resources within the project area. I don't think all of this is reflected on the concept designs that you have, only because they're a little bit dated. But to try to make, the whole project, the purpose of it is pedestrian safety and safety for folks who are in our downtown, not vehicular traffic. There are a number of benches as well as a safety barrier included in the park because Main Street along the east side of that is still a very heavily trafficked road. We also have, and this is not reflected in the plans, but I wanted to make mention of it, include it in here. As part of the project, the city already has purchased, and they're in storage, 7 bike racks for our downtown area that are going to be placed in different parts of the downtown. 2 of those, one will be in the Fleischman Park, one will be on the Webster Street side of this this construction area right across from Charles Fleischman Park. So those are already in place, just waiting to be installed, obviously, when construction is closer to completion. So I guess with that, open it up for any questions or comments.
Mr. Burgasser, I'll let you go first, just to clear up anything that the other legislators like to hear that, and then they can ask their.
That would probably be good. Mr. Zimmerman, the first thing is I apologize that in my letter to you May 7th that I put in the overall cost of $1,392,000 of the project. I looked at it more carefully, but I would be recommending to the committee that you're going to need to present us with a full application that includes exactly what your budget is, because I have several areas where your budget, for instance, in paragraph 3, let me just see this here. Paragraph 3 of your application, you say that the budget is $657,000 and that North Tonawanda has already committed $417,640 towards that. Then in another place at the end of your number 1 in the application, you indicate that it's $465,866 for the project. That's $315 and some odd cents, and $150,000 that we don't know if it's really that much or not for the electrical. So we need to know. We need to know what your budget really is, and we also need to know exactly the commitment of North Tonawanda, and that it's the $417,640. And I guess your project is actually $492,000 less $13,000 that's administration and maintenance to keep the project up, which would not be included in project cost. I don't know if you're familiar with those areas of your app or not. I'm sure you are. I guess we just need to know what the budget is, and that goes hand in hand with the need for you're being able to give us estimates or contract costs for the work. Presently, you do have an estimate or a contract for the bathrooms, which are the estimate or the contract actually is for $75,000. Your budget, you only include $68,000. I'm not sure if you took out some of the options or the extras in order to come down to that figure. I'm not sure. But in any event, the rest of the construction and including the electrical, we have no estimates or exactly what, like for instance, you've got electrical at 150 and you do indicate that you need to do more research on that to come up with an exact figure. We need these in order for the audit to be done by the county in doing the work. It's not just that the county would turn over 200,000 or whatever the committee says and then you just use it, because it'll have to go to bills and what you've said it was going to be used for and the amounts.
Mike, if I could, and Tom,
yes.
Mike, I know that it was a pretty detailed estimate, right, on those working plans that we, somewhere I saw that, not in this piece of paper, but it does exist, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, and beyond just detailed estimate, I mean, because construction has started, we have contract costs for everything in the project, less the clock tower piece, because again, that was taken out, but we have estimates for that as well. So yeah, I can provide all those and obviously correct any discrepancies that are appearing, Tom.
Thank you, Mike. And I know that we've done this in the past where we kind of send people off with homework, and the money will be distributed after construction. So it's we do have some ability to correct any misgivings that we might have.
Yeah, Chairman Enders, there's a couple just quick additional items if I could. One is he mentioned the greenway signage and the wayfinding to be included in the budget. And I think he actually did include some money for signage, I think $6,000. Maybe that was in a revised, but the head sign again is 6,800. And I would also like to indicate that we need to get together with North Tonawanda, and not only North Tonawanda, but other projects that we've done throughout the county in order to get together and start getting the signage put up and put in place. And then I also would like to suggest to the committee that they need to, they've been before the Greenway Commission, but the Greenway Commission is a consultation. And one of the things that the Greenway wanted was the signage, which this committee usually requires. But the second thing is that North Tonawanda, it appears they agreed to give a new park design in order to show the enhanced pedestrian and cycle resources that'll be used. I don't know if that's in the plans or not. But again, the consultation, I mean, they can just say they're not going to do it. They don't have to, they just need to respond to that. That's part of the protocols, that they do have to respond to those questions that were raised by the commission. And then the post-community standing committee will determine if it's consistent, and then if they'll also allow for any money that this committee gives to them.
Okay, thank you.
And I don't mean to, the project is great, and the presentation that you have, that's just those few items, but I was very confused by the budget.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, we can certainly, like I said, we have that information, so we should certainly be able to clear that up.
And the Greenway Commission doesn't deal with budgets or money, so.
Other questions from our committee here? Anybody have any questions, Mr. Zimmerman? I know I've been intimately involved in since the beginning on this one, so I just I know what I'm dealing with here. But other people with questions?
Mr. Chairman, this is John Syracuse.
Hi, John, how are you?
Good. Yeah, love the project. Just one question. I know we typically address these ongoing maintenance. Is the city of North Tonawanda have a prepared plan to maintain and care for this project through the life of this project?
They do own it in this case. I know they do own it, and I was under the impression that they don't have to provide some of these groups have to provide the city has to sign off and have a resolution to that effect. But if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Burgasser, the city owning it, passes it.
That is correct. The city does own it, and they own the maintenance part of it. And of course, they realize that if they let it go into decay, the county would have the choice to ask for the money back.
Thank you.
And just real quick on that, just so you're aware of it, the town of Wheatfield actually gave a resolution guaranteeing the maintenance on that other project. And since it was on their property, they probably didn't need it either, but they did do that.
Thank you. Other questions from the committee? Thank Mr. Zimmerman and the City of North Tonawanda for presenting tonight, and certainly you'll be hearing from this committee, letting you know what we have decided. But you're more than welcome to stay on the line, or you can get off the line and make your wife happy. So,
all right, thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye. We have now the Town of Pendleton, our third and final project this evening, and as those committeemen that are on the line understand, we get people inquiring about particular projects. We don't always get to the presentation phase, but these are the three groups that have been interested in presenting to us. There are, there's some, discussions of future presentations, but right now this is all that we have, and these groups have been invited to participate. So I wanted to have the town of Pendleton introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about your project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members. This is Jim Septrick. I'm a volunteer at the Pendleton Parks and Recreation Committee. I'm with Supervisor Joe Martin. Councilman Dave Leibel may be on the line from another point. Our project today for town of Pendleton is the construction of a 4,000 square foot all-season, all-event pavilion community center in the center of town of Pendleton Town Park. As you know, the town of Pendleton is growing leaps and bounds in population. And in the Business First ranking, we're the top 10 of the fastest growing towns in Western New York, and the top 10 in influence. I'd like to read a statement first regarding the Pendleton Parks and Trails Community Center. It's the gateway to parks and trails. Pendleton Parks and Trails and Pendleton Square mission is to provide an ecological restoration and connectivity to the town parks and trails by creating a sense of place for the community, by promoting healthy living through wellness activities, identifying recreational opportunities, encouraging economic development, celebrating conservation ideas, defining gateways, and connecting local, regional, and state trails. As the town of Pendleton Parks and Trails is a growing endeavor in our town. We invested heavily in our town park. And let me give you to Supervisor Joe Martin. He can explain to you the investments and the features of town park as of current.
Over the past 4 years, we've seen significant changes in the town park. The most noteworthy is with the Mason's Missions all-inclusive playground that has been growing in multiple phases, starting out just as a simple attempt to bring some playground equipment, make some playground equipment available to kids who aren't able to play with traditional playground equipment. It has grown quite extensively through funding through New York State. We've had great assistance from Senator Orton, former Assemblyman Ray Walters, in securing around $250,000 in state funding, in addition to significant private funding, which has been put into the playground from a variety of businesses and organizations around West New York. Total investment now in the playground is somewhere in the $500,000 range. It's a very large and heavily used outdoor area, not only by Pendleton residents, but by people from all over the area due to its unique opportunities available to all kids. During the summer, it's not uncommon at any point to see school buses, cars, many people on it using it. There's further plans to continue the growth in the playground area, splash pads. We're currently working on new bathrooms and a lot of other improvements around the park. The park adjacent to this is where the community center would go, is a central location in the town of Pendleton. It's also on the town's trail system, which traverses the town from the southwest to the northeast, border to border, affording connections to where the trails could extend further to connect towards the town of Lockport, City Lockport, to the southwest, to the North Tonawanda. Ultimately, in the not too distant future, we hope to have a connection with the Canal Trail, which recently, just last year, opened the final section of the town of Pendleton, which provides for the continuity of the Canal Trail, I want to say from the Niagara River clear through to the other side of the state. So, the location in the town park and its location with the trail system, affording a great deal of outdoor recreation opportunities from people all over West New York. We've seen significant use of the Canal Trail and the Towns Trail just recently due to the pandemic that's hit our country, and we're seeing that's in addition to the the constant increase in the use of our outdoor facilities by, as I've mentioned previously, not only Pendleton residents but people from all over West New York coming because there are such great opportunities here.
Yeah, to continue that conversation, as most people may or may not be aware, Pendleton does not have like a hamlet like Wilson, Lewiston, or Newfane for a place of community, a place of gathering. This community center and this community Pendleton Park Square will be that so-called hamlet for the town for gathering of events.
Thank you, Jim. Tom, I know you've worked with Jim and have had some, some questions that you needed to have answered. And I know that's been happening. Is there anything outstanding that we need to address prior to going to the legislators?
There's still a couple of items, and similar to North Tonawanda, I would like to get one complete for the committee application that isn't piecemeal. If the Pendleton would be so kind. I do want to say thank you for some of the submissions that we've received piecemeal over the past couple of weeks, and I thank them for doing that. I may have missed it or I don't have it, but I don't have any letter from the town of Lockport, which is an intricate part of connecting the trails up to an actual trail of the Greenway. In order to what's that?
May I interrupt here? The town of Lockport Trail is being...
Go ahead.
Yeah, the town of Lockport Trail is being constructed this year. That's why we didn't seek that letter, because it's under construction.
But you need to have the support in order to connect it in, and that would have been good to have. Just if you can get that, that would be great. I know that they're under construction. I know that they're also underneath the same guidelines that they need to require to be able to connect it into the Lockport and also down to the canal. To a trail that Pendleton already has in existence. That's part of one of their packages also. But if you could get that, we would like to have a complete package. We are subject to audit, as you know, Jim, not just yourself. In the other cases, you won't be able to do it this one. Is that, the Senate conducted their audit after 3 years, and the NYPA can also conduct theirs. So we would like to make sure that we have all of our T's crossed and all of our I's dotted, if you don't mind. We also don't have estimates, two different types of estimates. One is at least engineering estimates, or somebody who normally gets costs and things of that nature as to what your self-help is, so that it can be determined how much the project actually costs. The second is we don't have any estimates. We have the one from Parco for the building, which you did submit, which I thank you for. We have no estimates for the rest of the money, which is like $410,000. $100,000 for electric, $100,000 for plumbing and commercial. If you can get those estimates in from companies or contracts for doing the work, I would imagine you probably have contracts by this time.
Well, Tom, those breakdown of the estimates are in that Parkway at the bottom.
But they're not, are they doing the work?
That's their estimate to do the work if they choose to do the work. Some of that work could be broken up with in-kind services within the town, employees and employee equipment. But we have an estimate based on...
According to your application, Jim, you're doing in-kind services, and then that would mean that I guess your budget is off then, because your in-kind services would be doing part of the electric, I thought, and some of the other work that's required down here. Is that true?
Well, that's the value of the cost if we had to do it from an outside contractor. So therefore, we use that cost to use as a base for our internal cost.
Is
that work.
I only see Parco as being for the building, and everything else is below their estimated total prevailing wage cost for the building and constructing it. I guess I would like, I think that you need to have a more detailed estimate. There's more than one thing involved in HVAC, more than one thing involved in the electric and the plumbing and the kitchen. Just if you can break that down and give us a little more detail and estimates on it, even if you have your engineering department do it. And the second thing is on your signage, and I appreciate your sending in the signs. You don't have signage included in your budget. I don't know if there's town roads or if you set up something with the Niagara County from the town in order to be able to put up road signs as well as the head signs, but they're not in your budget, so you need to figure those into the budget itself. And also when you do the signs, as I indicated, I think to North Tonawanda and to Wheatfield, you give credit to the Niagara River Commission, but you fail to give credit to Niagara County or to NIPA, who are the ones who give you the money. You need to change those. That's all.
Okay.
Put some more detail.
We got some.
That's it.
Like every group, we have some homework
Every
to
group
do.
has those things.
So we have a number of things to do, but legislators, do you have questions?
I don't have a question, but I have
Legislators?
the Pendleton Crew Supervisor Martin, Mr. Subcheck. Mr. Beargasser wants to make sure that everything's properly done. He will work with you to make sure that what he just addressed gets done. Don't take it as a negative. Take it as
Thank you.
positive. It will help get this project moving forward.
Those things are not, they're very easily accomplished. I've already talked to Mr. Sobchak about the road to take on it. And I'm sure that just hasn't had time within the last week to be able to do it, to show that we're moving forward on the trails and the signs.
Okay. Well, thank
Chairman
you.
Andre,
Yes, sir.
Councilman Weigel, I'd just like to add one thing about our bike path. With the latest part of our bike path that we put in, it's very close to West Canal Marina. And with the renovation that you guys have done and approved for West Canal Marina for the docks and that, we are seeing boats from Albany all over the place come up and dock there for 2, 3, 4 nights. They also bring bikes with them, which they will be using the bike path to go to restaurants and our park and the community center. And I'd like to thank you guys for the renovation for West Canal Marina.
We'd like to see the success. Very good. Thank you, Dave. Any other legislators like to say anything? Yeah. Oh, thank you, Town of Pendleton, for your pitch tonight, and we will certainly be in touch as we will with the other ones. I'd like to ask the if you'd like to hang up, you're more than welcome to, or stay on. It doesn't matter. The other legislators, if you would just stay on the line, I want to go over a couple of items just for housekeeping purposes. We have coming up July 1, we have a new allotment of $390,000 coming to this county for projects such as this. We also have $159,000 yet to be spent or yet to be committed to other projects. So that leaves us with for this year, and we have mentioned it before. I'll mention it again. That this committee has had the mindset of putting that money out there into the community and using it as opposed to accumulating it and saving it for some kind of rainy day. We like to get that money out there and to do those projects that are ready to go at the time when they're ready to go. So I've appreciated the committee's willingness to kind of join me in that philosophy to put that money out there in these communities. These communities are doing a lot of times very nice work, doing the things that make us all look good, and hopefully we'll continue to do that. But we can help them by allotting some of this money to these worthy projects. So that being said, give you kind of an update. North Tonawanda, for 200,000. Wheatfield is asking for 100,000, and Pendleton is asking for 100,000, but over the course of 2 different years. And in the past, what we have done is commit to nothing more than the current term of the legislature. So, I don't like to tie the hands of people that have yet to be elected. So just wanted to point that out, that the $100,000 over this year and then next year, that's something that that is certainly doable, since we have, it wouldn't kind of violate that idea that we don't commit to things that are outside of our scope of being elected. So do we have any?
One thing real quick for you, as I will for the committee. I have spoken with anyways, the secretary for the host community standing committee, and as soon as what your decisions are made and they go to the legislature, they will call a meeting so that we can move this forward in an expedited manner and to approve whatever, well, hopefully to approve, I shouldn't say that, but I would imagine they will approve whatever you decide to present. So they'll move that.
Thank you. Excellent. So legislators, what are your thoughts on saying yes to the 3 projects? Is there any opposed to that? And by the way, Owen Steed, I'm speaking for him. I don't want to do that, but he wasn't able to make it today, and he is in favor of these projects. So just wanted to point that out before we get started. Anyone have any?
Chairman Andres, John Syracuse here again. I think that you've kind of summarized the mission of this committee is to get these funds out into these communities, and I fully support these projects. I really think that the work that Legislator Nemi has done with the West Canal Park, lobbying for that, getting that squared away, really has really helped, this area. And, I think the Councilman Dave Leibel, I think, was on, mentioned that. So I think these are great projects. I'd love to see us maybe brush these up and resubmit, or get them right to the committee so we can move fully forward with them. So that's my opinion on these.
Legislator Nemi, where are you on this?
I'm definitely in favor, and I think kind words from Legislator Syracuse. With the July allotment, this will still leave us a budget of $149,000 for the remainder of the year. And I think we could work with that. So I'm in favor of all 3 projects.
Okay, so we have 3 yeses and the basic verbal approval of Legislator Steed. So if you would, Mr. Burgesser, start the process of writing these up.
I can go ahead and write them up. I think we need to make sure that the entities move quickly and expeditiously to provide us with the things that are necessary. Legislator Nemi, my math is off, I think, but we have 390 and 150, which gives us 540, but these projects total 500.
Oh, I thought you said 159.
Well, no, we have 159 left right now, and we should get 390 July 1st by the 10th of July at least. And that would give us 540,000, and these projects total 500,000. And that leaves us 40.
Prove the full open, right? Yeah, the Pendleton one, they said they'd be happy with 100 for this year and 100 for next year, but if we just did it all at once.
I see. Then I'm sorry, Legislator Nemi, you're correct.
It's okay.
So I don't know, if we commit that money, now, that leaves us with a smaller, kind of a rainy day fund in case some of these come up short or whatever. Which we've done in the past. We said, oh, you need 20 more and we were able to do it. So it does come up occasionally.
We do.
But the thought is here, Tony, let's do this. If you don't mind, we'll do the 100 for now. We'll keep the 100 in the account. And if it gets towards the end of the year and we don't have any other, projects, towards the end of the summer, which is usually the, construction season starts wrapping up, just kind of keep that in your mind, and we can submit an additional, 100 for them this year if nobody else is going to use it.
Legislator Anders, can I interrupt you again?
You sir.
Sorry. We also have to be mindful that each of these projects are going to be adding money into their budget that they're going to have to find someplace if we don't provide it for the signage, for the head signage on each one of them, and also for road signage that working in conjunction with the county, the town, and normally we provide 50% of that, but we are going to be cutting with your vote. I just want you to be aware that there may not be money to give them towards the signage, and they will have to guarantee that they're going to put the signages up.
Okay. Well, if you would adjust those, those figures accordingly.
Yeah, I can do that in the letters.
Okay, perfect. Well, so when we get the resolutions written up, it'll reflect their budget plus some money for signage.
That they'll have to provide in addition.
Yeah. But if everybody's comfortable with half, we've got enough leeway to allow us to do that. So
we do. Yeah. I just wanted you to be aware of it and how I should address it in the resolutions.
If the signage is 6,800, then what you mentioned earlier, then we could say 3,400 is for signage from this committee, and that could be a separate line in that resolution.
Right. We could do that, and it's going to be more than 6,400, but because that's the signage cost, the head signage.
Now, why is that so damn expensive? I can never figure that out.
I don't know. That's only what I've been told. I don't even. I think we have a bill from way back, but we have other projects, and the only project that I know of that has put up a sign right now, giving Niagara County legislators any credit, is the Carousel in North Tonawanda, and that's a sign that's inside of some plastic that they post at the front, which I thought was at least good for the time being.
It looked like 6,800 was spent on that one.
No, but we still have those funds to be allocated out, and we probably, I guess I need to send out letters, but I don't. It's bad enough when I get to be a heavy one here, and I thank Legislator Nemi for explaining that it's really not a negative, and yes, I will work with them to make sure it's provided. I've been working with Jim Sobczak for 3 weeks, so.
We apologize for that.
Okay.
Our condolences.
Okay. I just wanted to know how to address it in the resolutions. So we'll give them 50% of the head signage, but they'll have to support the balance of the signage on the roads.
That works for me.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Hopefully it sounds like sign department. So with that, I don't have anything else to add. Anybody else?
Chairman, can we just get a motion for the last meeting's minutes?
Yeah, try to get a motion, and thankfully we're taking minutes now. Get a motion by legislator, not second by legislator. Under question? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carried. Thank you. And I get a motion to adjourn this meeting. Legislator Nemi and then legislator Syracuse as well. Okay, we got a, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen, and Kathy, and we will hopefully look forward to having these things checked off so that we can get these on our next, when's the next ledge meeting? Is it Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, and when's the one after that?
I'm not sure the date.
If we could try to get it for Tuesday, that would be great. Certainly would.
These entities won't have that stuff nearly in hand, and on some of it,
okay. Yeah.
I would hesitate to do it before we at least have some semblance of full applications.
Okay, okay. Well, let's try to at least, get them their letter that is recommended, and then we can, at least we'll have some way of moving forward, so. Okay, that we will be recommending, their approval. That's what we'll send them. Okay, Tom?
Okay, you want me- I will send out the letters with that we'll be recommending it to the legislature. You don't want them at the legislative meeting, right?
I don't need that, no. That'll be fine.
Okay. Then I'll
Yep.
send it to them, and that we'll notify them if the legislature approves it or not.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay. That way
Okay,
it
very
won't
good.
be-
And if we do happen to have a special meeting in between now and then, which, usually pops up, we'll throw it on there.
Yeah, that would be good. August is a ways off, but I just,
Yeah. Okay,
okay.
well,
All right.
it is what it is. Okay, thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Bye-bye.